Greetings, everyone. Rev.Hawksblood here, calling from the big island of Hawaii. Yes, there's different islands, and they have different names. So Hawaii is not just one island. All right, the topic, I hope you read the topic, and it's called Freedom. We're going to go into every aspect of that. If you stick around long enough, we're going to dive into some really hardcore parts of it, the truth, the lies, and everything else in between. So the way I'm going to start it, let's get this straight right now. Someone told you have freedom? Someone said you are free? Well, someone told you that you have freedom of speech. Really? Now, this whole show might not be exactly what you want to hear, but it is going to be the truth at every level. Just follow along until I get into it. You're going to see where we're going to go with this. The idea that someone told you had freedom. How come you didn't know you had freedom? Or what did it really mean when you thought you had it? Well, who are those people that told you have freedom? When was the word freedom created? Our definition, when it was created, is different than other countries' definition. But in the United States, the same people that told you have freedom are the same people that told you could go out and kill Native people. Same people that told you can carry guns to shoot Native people. All right. Now, they're also, which you might not know, the same people that paid anybody to bring a scalp of a woman, child, or an elder. Good money in those days. So they were forcing people or making people, however you want to word it, allowing people to kill Native people to get money. So, and they talk about unjust, but you don't hear about that much at all, do you? Now, Thomas Jefferson, who was involved with the whole stealing of the Constitution and everything else, but Thomas Jefferson rode across the South states, killing every tribe he could. George Washington sat at his headquarters. He gave sent out somebody saying that one tribe had freedom, while he gave the orders to kill two other tribes. So he was always two ahead compared to the one of he gave the freedom to. So they were eliminating the tribes as fast as they could. But these are the same people that created our Constitution. All right. Do you know what the definition of freedom means? Our lame brain dictionary: the power or the right to speak, act, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. But I guess that doesn't go into as long as it doesn't hurt somebody else. People think they can do what they want. How about killing, stealing, robbing, abusing, getting drunk and driving a car, deciding how you want to punish your child? And when I was young, parents were a lot more apt to beating and hurting their children when they did something wrong. But if somebody else did it, they'd be in court and every other place they could. But it's also related to money. People with money, families that had money, didn't have the same problems middle class and poor people had. Not at all. So, do rich people have more freedom than poor people? Of course they do. If you want to base it on what they can do almost anything they want whenever they want. And the real rich people do whatever they want all the time, whenever they want, whatever it is. Changing our laws, changing our living patterns, changing what we eat, how we eat, where we go, all those things. They have the ability to change that, and they're free to do it. Why? Because the world is owned by rich people, whether you want to admit that or not. When the electoral votes were created, it was created to keep the poor people from taking over. The rich was always worried about that, and they still are in some ways. I'm going to go back into this again. But Mr. Gates, people, is buying all the farmland in the United States. He's the richest person on the planet, and he's almost classified as a trillionaire. All right, he's real close to it. Why is he doing that? You better think about it. I'm not going to go into all those details. I got too much else to get into. But do your research, do your homework, do something constructive, rather than listen to some idiot telling you a story that has nothing to do with anything, that's filled with a bunch of lies. Even if it sounds good. Probably the better it sounds, the more closer to the lies it is than the truth. All right. The second word that has to go along with freedom is called morals. Do you have an idea what the definition of morals are? I don't think people know what the word means anymore because we don't use them, we don't have them. There was a time when people had morals. They lived by morals as well. And it's not based on just religion. It's based on living and working together with people. Being a little compassionate and caring and those kind of words. Not the desire that you have to have a gun to walk the streets, a taser, whatever you feel like you need to protect yourself. Here in Hawaii, there's a lot of crime. Tasers are illegal in Hawaii. So that leaves you with a knife, bat, stick, spear gun. I mean, yeah, the weapons that people have, carry, or use. I'm not saying you can get guns pretty easy here as well. So, and there's been so many shootings around my neighborhood in the past couple of years. It's crazy. But since we removed morals, what do we live by? Freedom? Free thinkers? People that think they can do whatever they want? For any reason? Well, they have to have morals to be a free thinker if it's going to be beneficial to the human race. Well, let's go backwards in time. When Moses came out with the 10 Commandments, 10 simple rules to live by. All right? No matter who wrote them, how they got here, it doesn't matter. What matters is, what did they say? What did they mean? Was any one of them destructive to the human race? No. Was any one of them bad? No. Hard to live by? No. And still, human race, all religions can't live by them, including the Muslims, the Hindus. Simple laws that kind of keep us in balance to work together, and they can't live by them? What's the story with that? Now, Moses wasn't happy with 10 Commandments. No, wasn't enough for him. He created 613 laws on top. All right? And if you read the Bible, the Old Testament, when he talked about the laws he created, now, nobody can live by them. Not the Hasidic Jews today. No, they cannot. They say they do. I mean, I worked in Jewish families' houses and things like that. I saw the abuse of the laws. Never mind the abuse of the way they live life. I'm not going to get into that either. But do your homework. Do research on Hasidic Jewish people and their belief system, what it means. Do your homework. Find out what Muslims' religion is based on. I want to break it down real short. It's based on an angel called Gabriel, came down and talked to Muhammad. I don't know what you'd want to call it, but he gave him about 36 proverbs, statements, and ideas, or whatever. And each one of them sounded good in its own right, but together they all contradicted each other. So to tell me an angel came down and says, talk to people. No, don't talk to people. Talk to everybody, or you can only talk to a few. Keep in silence and they'll be out in public. So, it's contradictory, every other one. If you want to read them, they're out there. Second of all, how did he know it was Gabriel? His brother told him it was Gabriel. How did his brother know it was Gabriel? The story is just like every other story. A great story told by a person. When a person tells a story, they forget one thing: most of the truth. Why? How? The real reason behind it. Because they don't know. Well, the 613 laws, had a lot to do with what you can eat. Nudity was obscene and wrong every which way. Crime. You do a crime, pluck your eyes out, cut your hands off, and all these things. Nobody would be walking around with any part of their body if they had to follow that law. So, it was ridiculous. But then in the New Testament, I'm going to throw this in real fast. One sentence, which was twisted, and I'll tell you why later, that Jesus said it's better to live by Moses' truth because where it'll get you in the end. Now, that was a man's twisted idea of what Jesus was saying. Moses was talking about destruction to your own body. Jesus never promoted that in any way. So the biggest contradictory is a sentence in the Bible which Christians believe. I don't know. I was a Protestant for 14 years, got baptized. When I went to talk to my minister, ask him a few questions, he couldn't answer one of them. I only asked him 3. What's God look like? What's it look like in heaven? What do you do in heaven? Well, nobody knows. Nobody knows what you say you believe in. So why would you believe it? All right, have faith. Faith in what? People? Mankind? This universe energy? What do you want to have faith in? Aliens? Really? Well, we're going down the tubes pretty fast. All right, now Moses talked about the way you could dress even. I mean, you know how Muslims are today and how in Christianity, when we talk about Hasidic Jews, how they dress and how the women have to dress. Dress codes, really? And what are the dress codes? I mean, in different places, it's pathetic. Do research. I'm not going to go into it because it's pretty disgusting, some of the things that go on in so-called the name of religion. Never mind, most of the wars we had in history were based on religion. All right, I'll go into that a little bit later. So morals are far gone. We don't have respect for other people. Where did it go? Where did respect go? Is it drugs? Is it drinking? Or how about both? Now, men's attention is perverted, twisted. What do they think about most of the time? What do they talk about? Well, it depends if they're with women or men. Men talk about sports more than anything. Like it's important. Entertainment is a part of life, yes. But how important is it in your life? If you have 3 children and you got a little bit of money, you should be doing things with them. Not putting them in a room and sticking them on a computer game. Just let me see if I can show you real fast. Oh, where is it? I'm looking for my Geiger counter. Yes, a Geiger counter. I do a show tomorrow with a woman from England. And she's radioactive when we do the show. Seriously. Simple Geiger counter. You turn it on. I don't know if you can see that. Let me shut this off if that helps. I don't know if you can see that. See that light flashing? It says harmful radiation. Well, electromagnetic field. The radiation's not high. But I bring it closer to me, it's up over 100. It's still blinking. Meaning dangerous. So what's that mean? We sit in front of our computers, which I do. We're getting exposed to dangerous radiation. Go to the microwave, I put it on. Radiation's super high. You have to stay at least 2 feet away. The second you turn it on, like step away from it. Don't go near it until it goes off. But I'm going to go back into the word freedom. All right. So we talked about the definition of freedom. Okay, what's it mean to the average person? What do they do? We have freedom. We could say what we want. No, you can't say what you want. All right. Where we go from there? Well, how do we live life? See, when you mix that with freedom and religion, it gets even worse. Freedom in the individual is how much you think you have freedom. Meaning what you can do, where you can go, how you're going to go about doing it. But no, how about, all right, in some religions, like the Hasidic Jewish religion, They have to be a virgin to get married. Have to be, or they can't get married. How do you think? Who finds out if they're a virgin? I'm not going to go into that. Do the research. It's real. Don't let anybody tell you it's not. I mean, they'll say, "Oh, that's outdated." No, it's not. Not if you're a Hasidic Jewish person. It's like saying you don't have to live by the 613 Moses of Moses. Wake up, people. It's time. All right. Moses is far gone. His laws are far gone. I mean, nobody in the United States really follows 613 laws of anybody. Never mind their own parents. Well, respect has disappeared because of parents. Now, parents want respect from their children, but did they give their children respect? When I was young, children had no respect. We were never respected in any way. Other countries, I don't know if you want to call it respect, but children 6 to 7, 8 years old have to cook dinner and things for the family. I mean, wake up, people. The idea of freedom. You have freedom. What's it mean? We're going to go into it in detail, and I'm going into it step by step. People live by a double standard, and that's black and white. Now, black and white are not colors. And basically, we say there's what? How many colors are in the world? 4 colors. Black, red, yellow, and white. And red. Did I skip red? Let's start with comedians. Oh, everybody loves to listen to comedians. Why? I don't like laughing. Usually not. Once in a while, I'll laugh at something. But how can I laugh when what's happened with the numbers on the planet? I'm not even talking about the virus yet. I'm talking about child abuse, child slavery, all those kind of things. All right. Comedians come out, start telling jokes. They use the F word probably 1,000 times. Do you find that funny? I mean, there's I don't know if he's a Lama, Buddhist. I mean, he's a Buddhist something. But he goes into all the definitions of the F word. It could be used in 1,000 different ways. Believe it or not, it can. But is it beneficial? Is it useful? Is it a good word to use? Well, mankind's trying to accept it as like one of the words that you use in English language, and it's important. Well, I use another word, the word that we're not allowed to use on prejudice. Not the word prejudice, but what people use words that make it a prejudice statement. Archie Bunker, do you remember the TV show when it was on TV? It was then the Sanford and Son, a black and white issue, always going on there. But we try to erase history rather than face it. Anything that was bad, we just erase it completely, and then we try to make it wrong to be part of that now. Right? How about being part of the people that killed the Native people? Is that wrong? You're going to do anything about it? Of course not. You're going to even say you're sorry? You can even find out the truth, what happened to the Native people? Why not? Well, all right. That word, I don't want to say it, the color word. All right. What's funny about it? Is there anything funny about the white word, white? You're allowed to use the white word. You can use the word black, but you can't use that other word. Why? But they can. Their comedian can come out and say it. You're trying to get a word out of the vocabulary, out of the human race, away from us, and not use it. And they got to bring it into a comedy routine. So they think it's funny. Or they wouldn't be using it in a comedy routine. So if somebody else says it, it's a fight, a war, a battle, and everything, and all that. The double standard, which I just mentioned, mankind lives by it. It's sad. All right. But to me, that's not funny. Making fun of disabled people is not funny. Making fun of people is not funny. I mean, some things are funny when you see it. But then when you think about what really happened, you see somebody fall down a flight of stairs, that's funny? Oh, when they show you like funniest things in the world today, and you see all these things happening. Oh, he just fell backwards into the pool, cracked his head. Oh, that's funny. I mean, what is humor? a programmed idea on how and to react to certain situations. And that's how you're brought up. I was brought up really bad. You want my book, How to See God? And then my second book is When Truth is Called Crazy, which is my autobiography. I'll send them out free. Just send me an email. I'll send you either one or both when you want. I'm not trying to make money in this world. I'm looking forward to leaving this world. This is hell. If you don't want to recognize that, live in dreamland. Fantasize about the beautiful world, people loving each other, caring about each other. There's different countries on this planet, people. Different races of people. Different morals, different religions. For it to happen, for all us to be one, it would be one God, not one world order, which we're going into. UN Agenda 21 is in full play right now. Pull it up, read it, read what it is. Add that to why Gates is buying all the land, all the farmland. The first rule, I'm going to tell you this straight out. The first thing in creating one world order is take control over the world. And how do you do that? They got to turn the United States into not the most powerful country in the world, the least powerful. How do you do that? You control the world, control the country. How do you control people? You force them in cities. You can't leave them outside of the cities because then you have no control over them. Think about it. You don't have to believe it. Just do some research. I'm going to get as real as I can for the amount of time that I'm going to do the show. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to do this. I mean, get through what I want to get through. I might have to do another part of this. Maybe I won't. But let's see. All right. Let's keep going. I'm going to try to get through some of this stuff as fast as I can. What does freedom of speech mean to you? It means you're trying to make someone else believe your stupid, limited idea of truth or your own ignorance. How many people have any real truth? About what? About life, death, birth, reincarnation, God? How many people can talk about that in any great way? The Dalai Lama doesn't talk about God ever. The Pope is talking about being friends with Muslims. Says there's no hell. Said Adam and Eve didn't exist. Then you got people telling about the Anunnaki story and the whole belief system and how and all that. What do you want to believe? Where do you want to go? But whose truth are you following? Your own? Do you know if aliens are real or not? You don't even know that. So how can you follow your truth? Because it's limited in a program and you like the program. But if your program doesn't help you get anywhere, which they don't, where are you going? A person's idea is not the truth. Comes out with a theory. Well, what makes a theory from a conspiracy theory? The amount of people that believe it. Now, what would be a conspiracy theory? Let me just see one thing here. My friends in the hospital right now have an operation. Sean David Morton, anybody that ever heard his name, he was one of the top psychics. He was arrested for false charges, put in jail. They tried blinding him. They started pulling his teeth out. He's got cancer from his throat down. He's in for some kind of treatment right now, an operation. So put your prayers out for him. If you're interested, he needs help any which way. They gave him some stupid medical plan when he came out of prison. But they had him all kinds of horrible things. They put him in a cell naked for a week. They beat him up. All kinds of stuff. You know why? Because he was promoting a sovereign citizen. I'll get into that. And he also found Area 51. He took people to see the ships landing there years ago. You don't hear that among the UFO people talking. Oh, we met with the aliens and we're going to go to these other galaxies and they're going to come here and help us. What? What can an alien help you do? Build another bomb to blow up another city? But people in the UFO world I don't want to stick with that too much right now. But the whole UFO world is pathetic. I was in it most of my life. Nothing good's coming out of it. Nothing. Tesla worked with an alien race. Was it good? No, it wasn't. It is not beneficial. Oh, well, I got to have a problem with my little dog out there. Gizmo! Come here! All right. You want to say you're a free thinker. What's that mean? You take all these perverted, twisted ideas, put them together, and try to create an idea? How many people have an idea that's beneficial to the human race? Well, a new invention. Do we need more inventions right now? Well, they keep coming out every day and keep taking us further away from being an active human because everything else is going to do everything else for you. So why would they really need you? Getting back to why they're going to try to take one control and make it the control over the whole planet, meaning one world order. And it's not new. It's not like it was just created. It's been around a long time. It takes a lot of things to get something like that in place. But they did come up with the UN Agenda 21, 22, 23, 24. Guess what? By 24, they expect to have it in full power, meaning one world order. And you know how many presidents agreed on it? Well, right now, all the ex-presidents are supporting Biden, which is good. He needs help every which way, especially what's going on right now. Now, we have in the UFO world, all right, a lot of these speakers out there, they get lots of money. They get $20,000 to speak for a couple hours. 20,000, not 2,000. And what do they say? Well, I think they're going to release these documents. I think they're going to tell you this. Oh, 180 days from now, they're going to release the UFO files. What files do you think they're going to release? The only file they released is a Tic Tac? I and my person I worked with years ago in 1996, we were going around the United States showing pictures of all kinds of UFOs that we shot directly. And I put my life on it. We didn't make them up. We didn't use a trick camera or trick photography or any of that. And people were afraid, which they should be. Aliens aren't our friend. They're here for a reason. You want a good reason? Read Phil Schneider's story. One of the most important UFO stories that happened. I'm involved with another one, but I'm not going to go into it here. And it had to do with the Philadelphia experiment and the Montauk Project. What it did, what it caused, and what's happening because of that. Because of Tesla. All right. So where do you want to go with your idea of freedom? How far are you going to try to take it? Start a riot, protest, destroy the UN, destroy the Capitol? What do you want to do next? Hang up Biden? You know, now that we have a woman vice president and women, a lot more women coming into Congress and in every other parts of our government, it's going to change. I don't know if it's going to change fast and Rumpo already created. I know there's butt-kissing people out there that love him. I guess they don't know much about him for real. Well, it said he did this. Read about all the things he did that were wrong, dangerous, and hurt the planet. I could list 28 of them right now. All to do with the weather, the climate, the animals, the birds, the water, the air, pollution. All those words. He pretend like, okay, they're all useless. We don't need pollution control. We don't need sound control. We don't need any of those things. Really. We need coal. We need to work from coal. Give people more jobs playing with coal? Well, you decide what you want to do with your life, who you want to follow, and where you're going to go with it. But it's not your decision. It's not nobody's decision on that level, which the New World Order rich people think it is. Now, if you believe in God is one thing. If you understand God's another. Do you think God's watching over us? Well, think about that while I keep going into some of this stuff. In the speaker world, I would say about 98% of the speakers are talking bull. Just my viewpoint. They have nothing important to say. They have nothing beneficial that's going to help mankind. Second of all, you know what they like to do? In about every conference, all you're going to hear is them attacking the U.S. government for what they did and do. Secret government things are secret for a reason. Not because they spend so much money on it. I mean, that's part of it. But the main reason? Because if it wasn't secret, Russia, China, and Germany would know. We don't want them to know what kind of weapons we really have right now. Until they have to use them, they're not going to explain it. And I could go into that in detail. Factual. But why? Do you even care? Are you listening to what I'm saying right now? Do you believe one word I'm going to say? Or what I already said? Well, no, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. This is the way it's going to happen, go, and it is happening. They talk about attacking the government, writing books on that. Secret government, secret programs. Yes, they all were secret. Mankind wasn't ready to find out what the government was doing with aliens, and they never will be. Never. It's not going to be the government that says, hey, we allowed them to abduct children and people and do whatever they want and blah, blah, blah. They're not going to say that ever. It's going to take an alien race to say, hey, look, let's tell them what we are and who we are. Any race, any one of the races that come here. And there's about 9 that I know of. I know Mr. Putin said they work with 27 races and 2 of them want to destroy the planet. Bob Dean, who is one of the top speakers in the UFO world, said he worked with 27 races. So, you can take numbers. I did a show with T.J. Morris, and her husband worked in the Army. Working high classified, said he flew the UFO for the president. He also worked with all these different races. So how much of that do you want to believe? But all the work they did, all these people, all these times, did one thing: help the human race as a whole. I mean, people that say they work with certain particular races, which I'll get into later. If I have time, if I feel it's really important by the time we get there. Talking about freedom. All right, now we can go into priests, ministers, rabbis, the Pope. Do they teach freedom? Are they giving you ideas on how to live free? Well, what does that mean? Christianity has their rules and regulations. Even in money, you're supposed to give a certain amount of money to your church. Is that freedom? Anything that has something to tell you something to do is not freedom. If you accept it as just a way of life, part of religion, part of this and that and the other thing, guess what? You can stick it in the word freedom. Well, I'm free to go out there and protest. You're not free to go out and protest. You're not. It's not freedom. I know unless they changed the laws, they could have. You had to go to the state and file if you're going to march or start a protest. Why? It gives the police time to get people there to protect everybody. Not the people protesting or the people that they're protesting against, but everybody. And I know that for a fact. I, with 2,000 people, 50 Native people, marched on the UN years ago. We got there okay. We marched from the East Village all the way up to the UN. They blocked the streets off as we got to the blocks, walking from one side to the other. One place to the next to the other side to the place where we were going to, the UN. We weren't allowed to carry anything. The only thing we were allowed to have is paper and cardboard. We weren't allowed to have sticks of any kind. We weren't allowed to have any kind of weapons or anything else on us, or we could be arrested right then and there. And that was a long time ago. All right. And it was over a Native man called Leonard Peltier, who was put in jail for false charges, which is another story. I'm not going to go into it. But when we got to the UN and we formed a giant mass of people right in front of the UN, we were surrounded arm to arm with people, FEMA people and police with guns, machine guns, and rifles. Seriously, if one thing went wrong, they would have started firing at us. Why? Because there was Native people involved. Now, when this happened at the UN, at the Capitol, there was a lot of white people. All right? And they don't want to start shooting at white people. If there was black people there, they would have started blasting them all. If there was Native people there, they would have started blasting them all. But then again, guess who has more rights in the United States? And I'm doing this out of fact, not out of fantasy or delusional ideas. The Spanish. Why is Spanish like the second language in the United States? Now, guess what? Cubans in the United States have a lot of rights. Well, I lived in Hoboken, and they put a Cuban person in the jail in Hoboken, and they started riots. It lasted 3 weeks. They were destroying every house. The police did nothing. They were afraid of starting a war. And guess how it ended? No, the police didn't get more people to come in. The longshoremen that worked the shoreline right next to Hoboken put on hard hats on their head, picked up clubs, and walked towards the riot. It ended that day. That was the last day of the riot. You know, people need to take right action at the right time, not the wrong action at the right time, or the wrong action at the wrong time. Right action. When your home's being destroyed, and everybody's saying, "Wow, check that out! Look at that! Look at that!" And you don't have the right to pull a gun out. The two people that pulled the gun out have to go to court. I think that's crazy. The people were threatening to burn down their house with them in it, and they pulled their gun out, and they have to go to court. You know, the system is so twisted. We think we have the right to carry guns. Well, we shouldn't. Every gun should be taken off the streets, period. If we have an attacker, you should have a mace or something more simple that won't kill the person. You don't have a right to kill another person. Even if you went to war, you really don't have the right, but you believe you do. That's freedom. Freedom to kill people. No, you don't have that right. Not under any spiritual law, or any other law that God or came out of spirit gives you the right to kill somebody else. I mean, the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Egyptians, everyone else sacrificed people, women and children, because they were pathetic. And people say, well, spiritual? No, what makes a person spiritual? Killing another person? Killing a person to make the weather stop change? The ideas that man was pushed and forced upon are so pathetic. All right, now I'm going to tell you this. Going back in time, we had a race called, the time frame was Atlantis, and they were called the Atlanteans. History's going to rewrite it, rechange it, try to fit it into some kind of story that they can make people believe in some way. All right, but it's not like that. All right, because what happens was they were living in peace. I don't know if you believe in reincarnation or past lives or those kind of words, but I'm aware of all my lifetimes all the way back to Atlantis. I actually did a show a couple times with Kerry Cassidy because she remembered some of her time back then. We got into a debate on her show. I did a show on her show for 9 months showing UFO pictures every week of different UFOs we shot. And did we get any comments? Maybe we had. Well, just to show you, when we were doing a show on her show, we had 1,200 people listening to us on a daily show at the end of the show the next day. We had about 50, well, let's see, no, not 50, up to 150 coming into the chat room. And we always had lots of people that wanted to listen, but they looked at the pictures. What we did that nobody else ever did, it was the person I did the show with, his idea, give a person a gift from them listening to what we're saying. The next week we would ask a question, and if they could call in and answer the question, they were given a gift. Meaning they listened to what we said, more so than saying, no, they would listen for names, dates, times, which made them think a little harder, which people really don't like to do. All right. Getting back to the attack on our government. I want to go backwards again. Sorry. When they started attacking our government, and they still are, is the government right? They're right for the rich people. They're not right for the poor people. here's things you need to do if you want to have a brain and be able to use it the right way. What does underground bases mean to you? What do underground cities mean to you? If you don't know, you have no truth going on in your brain. All right, I'm going to ask you another question. What is HAARP system? The HARP system. A weapon? What is it? Do you know what it is? Do you know much about it? It's used greatly here in Hawaii. We got one here. We got one on the other island as well. But do you want to know about it? Read about it. Look it up. Study. Learn something. What the dangers are to the planet right now. All right. Does anybody want to tell what the government's really doing? Do you really want to know? Obviously, it's nothing good. It's not about the human race anymore. Love and compassion and all those things. Relationships can't stay together. So why would you assume anything? The most important thing in life to the average person is a relationship. If you can't even make a relationship to work, why would it work with the rest of the world? Friends with Russia, Germany, China, Italy. I mean, I saw a video, I don't know how many years ago, on YouTube. They had, I'm sure it would be banned now, but when I saw it, this village, this guy was filming it. It was a poor African tribal village. They had no food. So they took 3 children, dug a big hole and threw them in it and threw dirt on top of them. Seriously. So the cameraman just sat back and watched. He said he listened to the screams. Somehow they had a little bit of air and you could hear a little bit of scream coming out of there. The one boy dug his way out, took one of the other little boy and ran out into the jungle. But they didn't have food, so they figured they cut down on the amount of people that are going to be needing food. Is that freedom? Freedom of doing whatever you want, whenever you feel like it, to whoever you want? Some people, that's freedom. And is it right? Right action should go with freedom as well as morals. Do you know what right action means? Well, I can't give you the definition of every word, but you need to erase the programmed ideas of a lot of the words you have. Like, do you know what the word agenda means? The U.S. agenda, Chinese agenda, Japanese agenda, aliens agenda. It's a different word for each one of them. It means multiple different things to each one of them. It's not like we all have the same agenda. All right. And you need to start checking this stuff out. Because if you're poor or middle class, you're in the bottom of the barrel. You're in the slush. You're in the disaster area. If you're rich, you're going to probably be going into an underground city. I'm telling you, people like Oprah has probably the most beautiful condos, swimming pool, everything underground already, waiting if she has to go to it. I mean, she has houses. She has here one in Hawaii. I was trying to see her, never got to her. Been trying to get in touch with her for 22 years. Tell me. People tell you things and they expect you to believe it. Not even with proof. Action, the way you live, the way you and what you do is also proof of who and what you are. You got to go out and drink every night, go out and smoke every night, you got to do drugs, whatever. That's who you are. You can't deal with society, you can't deal with reality. Living in the moment, in the present, means facing where you are, what you're doing, learning or how not to do certain things, how to make things better if you can. But we were forced into a situation a long time ago, and we're going to go back to it if we have time. In the United States, go back to gold. China's going back to gold. All right. We don't need oil. We got to eliminate oil. That's something we got to do. Hold on. So with that, someone just pulled up into my driveway. Where's my cell phone? So, we had kings, queens, and pharaohs that controlled people. What was their main thing? Would you say gold? Powered them? Gave them the power? How do people control other people? By words? Words, yes. Hitler controlled people with words. I was trying to explain that to somebody. It's called the power of suggestion, which makes you think your thinking is real or right. All right. But it's not, because it was a program. I'm going to get interrupted, so I'm going to have to take a short couple second break in a second. But, you know, I'm getting close to an hour, and I probably should do the other part. Not tomorrow, because I'm doing a UFO show with Tina Bird, who's been abducted half of her life. It's going to get a lot more complicated as I move along. I hope you come back tomorrow, but if you can't, it'll be there. Hold on. It'll be there. So with that, I'm sorry. Technical difficulties. I almost didn't get to do the show today, but hope you got something out of today. But I will give you more tomorrow or the next day. All right. So till then, sorry, I got so much more to give you if you're willing to listen, because we got to get into the real hardcore part of what freedom means, and how it connects to the word spiritual, or it doesn't connect to the word spiritual. So till maybe 2 days from now, part 2. All right, thanks for listening. Tune in again. Tune in 2 days. If you're not friends on my YouTube, become one, and you'll get the link automatically through there. All right, but it's always a pleasure. I do this to bring out the truth, not to just make money or tell stories. So with that, peace, compassion, whatever you need in your life, hope you get it. Thank you for listening so far, but it will get much more intense next time, the other half of the show. Till then, walk in peace, love, compassion, freedom, whatever you think your words that fit what you are or you think you are, and see where it gets you. Till next time.